Hello viewer, welcome to Multimedia Plus online television and welcome to another edition of our broadcast. Top stories in this edition. Defense for Children Sierra Leone, Amazonia Initiative Movement and Strong Women, Strong Girls Evolution have raised concerns regarding the welfare and well-being of girls during the COVID-19 in Sierra Leone. The co-founder of Purposeful speaks on the lifting of ban on pregnant schoolgirls. Lawyers call on people not to share or download pornographic video of minor. The Deputy Minister of Information and Communications, Mamadi Gobe Kamara, talks on the negativity of fake news and the plans of government to see it as a punishable act. And the Deputy Minister of Transport and Aviation, Sadiq Silla, has said that modalities have been put in place to ensure that the transportation sector of air, land and sea adhere to precautionary measures outlined by health experts in the fight against corona. Well, all of these stories plus sports are all lined up in today's news broadcast. I am your host, Lucy Emanet Aliu. And now for the news in details. Defense for Children Sierra Leone, Amazonia Initiative Movement and Strong Women, Strong Girls Evolution have raised concerns relating to the welfare and well-being of girls during the COVID-19 in Sierra Leone. Here's the report. Defense for Children Sierra Leone, Amazonia Initiative Movement and Strong Women, Strong Girls Evolution has raised concerns relating to the welfare and well-being of girls during the COVID-19 in Sierra Leone. In a joint press release, the Executive Director for Defense for Children Sierra Leone, Abdul Manaf Kemokai, called the attention of government on the sexual exploitation of some girls in Potloko district and for the police to investigate the series of alleged abuse. He said that the investigation should be centered on the security personnel who allowed the girls to have contact with suspected persons of COVID in a quarantine home, the sexual abuse of these girls, and the people who have been involved in the alleged abuse.
You are all aware that based on the COVID-19 response, the government has established a series of quarantine homes where travelers coming in from countries that have recorded over 50 cases are going to be quarantined for about 14 days and tested before they are released. So what happened in Potloko is that we had a report that in one of the quarantine homes, somebody was recruiting girls and bringing them into these homes for sexual prostitution. So the whole thing leaked out when one of the girls was mistreated and raised alarm. So she reported this issue to one of our partners, which is AIM. And AIM also informed us about this incident, and we decided to launch an investigation as well as also issuing a press release. And so the next thing that happened was the girls were arrested and also quarantined because they were exposed to potential COVID infection because they already had direct contact with people who were supposed or have been suspected to be infected with COVID, and we are under quarantine. So our own concern is that we have to look at a series of issues concerning this case. One, who was recruiting these girls and taking them to the quarantine home, benefiting out of them, which is basically an example of sexual exploitation. You also have to look at the role of security officials. How did they manage to allow the girls to get in? And you also have to look at the aspect of sexual abuse of the girls, and also who slept with the girls in the quarantine home. So there are a series of potential or alleged abuses that should be investigated by the police. So because this thing has been going on quietly and we have not been seeing much happening in terms of actually taking action to stop and also to prosecute those who are involved, this is the reason why we issued the press release. And for us, so far, we are seeing dividend because we are receiving a lot of calls from the government, but also other civil society organizations and the media trying to know more about this case, which for us, it was the intention, because it should not be swept under the carpet, but it should actually be investigated, and those who are found culpable should actually be prosecuted.
Mr. Kamokai went on to state that they are calling on the government to investigate and prosecute those found to have been associated with such crime, because people are preying on the vulnerability of the girls in the country.
To see justice, especially for the girls, because there is also a potential for the whole thing to be changed against the girls. Because the fact that they were arrested and kept at the quarantine home means, okay, one, probably for their own health concern, this is important. But it is also possible that they may take them as people who have broken the law instead of people who are actually victims of this exploitation. So for this reason, we are actually calling on the government to ensure that proper investigation is done, as well as prosecution of those who have been found to be associated with this crime. Consider the age of the girls, especially those who are under 18 years, they cannot consent to that. Then secondly, even for those who are adults, you cannot exploit vulnerability of women or girls and use it as an excuse to say, oh, they consented to come here. Nobody's allowed to get into the quarantine home unless if you have business to do there, like if you are a health official who is supposed to be going there to do tests or other things concerning healthcare issues. Otherwise, nobody should be allowed. So where were the security officials? Why did they allow these girls or young women to get into this home and actually be sexually exploited? So,
amidst these challenges girls continue to face, especially this period that Sierra Leone has been struck by the deadly coronavirus pandemic, the co-founder and executive director of Strong Women, Strong Girls Evolution, MARIATU KABBAH, has said over 14,000 girls were impregnated as a result of the Ebola epidemic, noting that most of the structures of the previous health crisis have now come into place.
Crisis, as in health emergencies, as in corona, women and girls are at the center of the most vulnerable groups. This is because of where society has placed them within the workforce structure, right? Most women are found doing the caregiving roles, yeah? Whereas you have some who are even single parent that need to strike balance between, doing the normal routine and fending for the home, as well as preventing themselves from corona. When you go to places like the market, you see a host of women, exchanging money with people, doing a lot of personal contact, yeah, just to strive to put food on the table. At the same time, they need to also observe the preventive measures. So it's really, really difficult. Now, like 2013 and 2014, Sierra Leone observed its highest rate of teenage pregnancy as a result of the Ebola epidemic. Yeah, over 14,000 of our girls were impregnated, not by strangers, but by the men within the home, within the community, the area, the compound. Yeah, simply because of school were shut down, as we are experiencing now, where our movements were limited, as we're experiencing now. Also, less attention was given on gender-based violence, awareness. Yeah, all attention was focused on combating the menace. As I think we are taking the same drive, but I pray not.
Advocacy groups, civil society bodies, and non-governmental organizations continue to stress on the need that as a country it is important to learn from the Ebola epidemic, adding that while embarking on the coronavirus sensitization, gender-based activism should be a national call to engage perpetrators, parents, and girls. Reporting for Multimedia Plus Online Television, I am Lucy Imanet Aliu. The ban on pregnant girls in Sierra Leone was adopted in 2015 when teenage pregnancies rose amid the chaos of a massive Ebola outbreak. Of recent, the ban has been outlawed. CHERNOR is the co-founder and executive director at PURPOSEFUL, a feminist movement in Sierra Leone. He spoke about the lifting of the ban in this interview with my colleague Fatmata Binta Jallo.
The ban on pregnant schoolgirls is one that prohibited pregnant schoolgirls from attending school. and taking exams, this decision was with immediate effect overturned, which effectively barred tens of thousands of girls the right to finish their education. The Economic Community of West African State Court instructed Sierra Leone to establish nationwide programs to help pregnant girls return to school. CHERNOR is the founder and CEO for Purposeful, a feminist movement hub in Sierra Leone. He said that this is a great victory for the many girls who were unfairly targeted and discriminated against by the senseless ban.
Purposeful is very, very pleased that the government has finally decided to end what we've always referred to as a very draconian, senseless and unfortunate ban on girls who got pregnant in school. We have been at the forefront of this fight to overturn the ban. We supported efforts to take the governments to the ECOWAS courts. That effort, as you know, was also successful. And we've always believed that the ban will not withstand any scrutiny, because the evidence against the ban was overwhelming. It does not make sense, it will not help our country, and this news that it's finally been overturned is a fantastic news for every girl in this country. It's a fantastic news for the human rights community, and it's a fantastic news for our country and our ambitions to become a country where everybody, every boy and girl has access to education. No girl will now be discriminated against just because they're a girl. What the ban did was it said, you're a girl, you've had sex, somebody's abused you, somebody may have violated you, and you're in a marriage that's illegal. By the way, people forget about 40% of our girls in this country are married by age 18. And yet we created a policy that said, you have gone through all of these unfortunate scenarios, which are a result of the failure of society to protect you, and yet you got pregnant, we ban you. We kick you out of the one thing that will help you to not be poor in all your life. We kick you out of the one thing that will help your child to not live a life of misery. So it was a senseless and unfortunate ban. And what this means is now we'll have a country where every girl and every boy will have the same rights to go to school, irrespective of their reproductive health status.
It went on to state that campaigners point to the hard lessons learned during the Ebola outbreak, which killed more than 11,000 people across West Africa. Thousands of girls were left vulnerable and forced to fend for themselves after schools were closed for months on end. As he affirmed that this will go a long way in enhancing their ambition to achieve education all else, and thus consider it as extraordinary victory for the feminist movement in Sierra Leone.
As well that, women should cover their head, women should not wear certain clothes. It doesn't make it right. Pregnancy is complex, pregnancy is individual. The idea of lifting the ban does not say all pregnant girls should go to school every day, even until the 9th month of the pregnancy. It says you can choose when you want to go to school and when you don't want to go to school, and that the state does not kick you out of school. What this ban did, keep in mind as well, it made it okay for schools to violate girls' privacies, to look at girls and say, oh, if you're sick, oh, this na belle don't get, and kick them out of school. That was all bad and wrong. What we're now saying is if a girl decides 7 months in her pregnancy, 6 months, I'm not going to go to school anymore because I can't, she's no longer punished for that, but she can make that decision, not the school. The idea that girls are influenced because they're in school, because other pregnant girls in school is actually, it's a stupid idea. I don't have any other word to say for it. Girls go to church, other girls in church are pregnant. Does that mean that girls in church also want to get pregnant? Girls go to mosque. The people who are pregnant didn't just jump off the sky. They live in the same communities with all of us. They're in schools, they're in homes, they're around us. Being pregnant does not influence somebody else to get pregnant. That's not how pregnancies work. In fact, the evidence is different. In other countries where pregnant girls go to school, pregnancy rate goes down because it creates a platform for you to discuss sex education, which we know is what works. Nobody looks at another pregnant girl and be, oh my God, I also want to get pregnant. That's not how it works. The opposite way is the way it works. What we have been doing is to treat pregnancy as if it's this kind of taboo or this terrible, terrible infirmity that is contagious. The evidence does not support that.
Citizens, however, gave their views on the issue.
Well, me, it's fine because waiting do number one, na the right for go school like any other pikin. Now because of normal now the young can come up broad daylight, but the other pikin they will not get the belly. Then they still they do the mommy and daddy business. Just that they why they don't do the mommy and daddy business, they don't come out, right? And they know about time. So they still get right for go school. And number two, if government not believe this, but they not go find for salon because what you do, the way right now say where the illiteracy rate they na the country. So if they say because of them in there, don't do my men that the business, they don't come on out through the belly, then they say may they not go school for that. The illiteracy rate go hyper side in this country, and poverty go there on the increase. Because mind you, when you educate one woman, when you educate one girl pikin, you don't educate a whole nation. Now the woman then, now the breadwinner then, now the host. So if you don't educate them, my sister, you don't educate the nation. What's no more me go like? I'm not go like let they mix them with the other pikin them.
The ban where they lift is not bad, but for me, I not go want to let the government let them mix. Because number one, it will get effect on the other people them where I will somehow say innocent because they're not born yet. If they can try for at least the school, if it go possible or not go possible, at least for them differentiate them. You want the way they're born, can they all together, all by themselves? Because if they join them together, and they feel say, you know, say woman they left for girl picking, they left for fidget, left for discourse. So someone and they don't go through this picking born one, then go they try for the explain for say na so for born na so then go somehow distract the one they were not born yet.
As activists and the government of Sierra Leone continues to see the overturning of the ban on pregnant schoolgirls as the first step in building a radically inclusive Sierra Leone. We are all children regardless of class, ethnicity, tribe, disability, location, gender, reproductive or parenting status, are able to live and learn in safety and dignity. The decision still remains a huge concern to so many people. Reporting for Multimedia Plus Online TV, I am Fatmata Binta Jallo.
A pornographic video was recently released on social media and it involves minors. Lawyers and other advocacy groups have called on citizens to desist from sharing the video. NICKY Spencer-Coker is the Vice President of Lawyers and an activist. She stated their position over the issue in an interview with my colleague, Fatmata Binta Jallo.
Various rights groups have condemned the sharing of one pornographic video of 2 minors. The said content has recently been making the headlines. Madam NICKY Spencer-Coker is the Vice President for Lawyers, and she also doubles as an activist. In this interview with Multimedia Plus Online TV, Madam NICKY Spencer-Coker condemned the sharing of the child pornographic video that is circulating on various social media platforms, and further called on people to stop sharing the video, describing it as morally and legally wrong.
Specifically, I guess we're talking about the sharing of sexually explicit a video of a minor in various social media platforms. We've seen that all over. It's all in the news right now. And Lawyers is an institution and an organization that stands for the protection and promotion of the rights of women and girls in Sierra Leone. And when we got wind of that video, we were very disturbed, particularly because it depicts minors, and also the fact that this has been shared in multiple platforms by both minors and adults. And we just needed to, and felt that it should be brought to the attention of the general public that aside from the moral implications, there are also criminal implications. One, not just to the making of such a video and then sharing it to others, and then perhaps using it also, as has been alleged, to blackmail others. But there's also implications for ordinary citizens who share it on these platforms and multiple platforms. That it's not just about forwarding a video, but that you also have responsibility, because even the forwarding of such in multiple platforms constitutes a crime according to our laws.
Madam NICKY further highlighted some of the psychological effects the act could have on the victims, and called on people to use social media wisely.
The 21st century, it's a multiple problem or multiple reason problem. Social media is easily acceptable and accessible to millions of people. Smartphones make it easy for everyone to be an instantaneous journalist or instantaneous, bringer of news. And also it provides some sort of feeling of you being anonymous, but also connected in a larger kind of way. And so some of these activities are not new, but in the age of the 21st century, it now becomes it comes to the public domain because you have the smartphone, you have the recording of these sorts of things. So that's why, as we also continue to caution people about the sending of these sorts of videos, we also want to caution our young people and to be aware of responsible social media use, and also of the dangers of it, that how quickly reputations and lives and livelihoods can be ruined by the clicking of something or the sending of something. Cyberbullying comes out of the fact that we have access to technology that allows someone who may live next to you, may live hundreds of miles away from you, may live thousands of miles away from you, to be able to have that instantaneous access to you because of the accessibility of technology, the internet, and those sorts of things. And some people, technology can be a good thing or a bad thing, and some people can use it for a bad thing. Our young people now are connected not just in school in person, but they're connected in this technological world. And this bullying can have tragic consequences. People have been known to die, to commit suicide from the bullying that they get from their peers, from others, from people who target them, who harass them. So it is something that should not be taken lightly. And I believe in this current context that the Sierra Leone police are not taking it lightly.
It is worth noting that this came at a period when schools are closed and teenagers are at home, as a result of the outbreak of the coronavirus in Sierra Leone. Various advocacy groups have brought out press releases on the issue, and the public requesting that there is a need for sex education in schools. Reporting for Multimedia Plus Online TV, I am Fatmata Binta Jallo.
We reminded you're viewing content from the Multimedia Plus Online Television. Fake news, among other things, is the sharing of inaccurate and distorted information, including pictures. The impact of the said news in the fight against coronavirus cannot be overstated. To that end, the government of Sierra Leone has now put plans in place to see the sharing and propagation of fake news as a punishable act. For more on this and other related matters, my colleague Shakoputka Kamara engaged Sierra Leone's Deputy Minister of Information and Communications, Mamadi Gobe Kamara.
This and continues to be the biggest challenge in our effort, in curtailing the spread of COVID-19. As I speak to you, we have not recorded a single death as a result of COVID. But I will tell you that somebody lost her life because of this fake news that we're talking about. I'm sure you're aware of an incident that happened where somebody called a lady to tell her that her kids are being, given injections in school. Maclate or whatever you call it. And the lady, got excited, and in the process, something followed, and eventually she lost her life. So that is because somebody called, somebody that didn't have, there was no veracity in the news that was passed on to her, but somebody called and made that particular claim. And like I said to you, she lost her life in the process. So this is very serious. We take it very serious as a government, because every single day you see people posting reckless things on social media, claiming that this and this and this is what has happened. Now, for example, on our Facebook page, we have this infographic that we always use to put out information to the public. And somebody somewhere just did whatever he or she could and increased the number from what obtained then I mean, to what he or she felt was, you know, or he or she felt like putting out. So that caused a lot of panic amongst people, because there we were as Ministry of Information putting out the right information, as it were, and then there was somebody else somewhere out there putting out, you know, distorted information, lies, fake news about what's happening. And also we see every single day, you see some of the things that people post, and you begin to wonder whether these people are real Sierra Leoneans. So we take it very serious. We are not going to, you know, encourage things to go as usual. This is not business as usual. We all have to be seen committed to this fight. We did our best as a government, you know, but again, COVID is here. So we want to continue to fight and prevent its spread. So we cannot afford to have people continually. In other places, people are being punished for putting out fake news. And we are slowly coming to that era where people who engage in such unpatriotic acts will begin to pay for their actions. So now, you know, we're a government. You know, we don't just wake up and just do things. There's a law that guides every action that we do. And you know the processes that are involved in, you know, getting new legislations into being. So of course we'll follow those procedures, and once they are legislated, once it goes through the laid down steps, of course we will get into action in making sure that all of what is contained in it from Parliament is followed to the letter.
Or if you're just tuning in, the news is coming to you from Multimedia Plus online television. We'll now go for a short break. Stay glued.
Yeah, production. Multimedia Plus, number one at the country. Multimedia Plus, beyond creativity, that now we mission. Multimedia Plus, we they bring to you so much quality. Multimedia Plus, number one, yeah. Quality video we there, photo shoot, voice over we there, jingle and soundtrack we there, documentary podcast we there, market and sales, audio production sell we there. Don't forget to Tapokana Multimedia Leash. Welcome to the land of creativity. Yeah, at the bongo bluff with the beauty. Yeah. You see me photo, see quality. If you see me video, see quality. If you listen me music, see quality. You go feel say na magic. See quality. Number 2 come we sit na the place. The customer the way.
Well, welcome back. We continue with the rest of our news stories. The Deputy Minister of Transport and Aviation, Sadiq Silla, has said the modalities have been put in place to ensure that people in the different transportation sectors of air, land, and sea adhere to the necessary health precautionary measures that have been outlined by health experts. He added that his ministry is enforcing a strict compliance to these safety measures. He spoke more in this interview with my colleague Sheko Putka-Kamara.
Ministry of Transport and Aviation, and we have 3 broad sectors. We have the air, the land, and sea transportation. With the instruction from the presidency and the global trend, as we all saw it, and the proactiveness of government, we made sure that we closed our air transportation as early as March, and we limited it to only cargo flights that comes in with essential. It could be medical supply, it could be some other essential goods that are needed, particularly for the fight of the coronavirus. So we've put that to rest. Then we realized that the other difficult area is the land transportation. So we had series of meetings with all parties that relate to land transportation in this country, and we made sure that we imbibed the pronouncement that is coming from the center about the measures that should be put in place for us to fight the coronavirus. Having been myself once district council chairman when we had the Ebola, and my district was the district that came out of the Ebola first among all other districts, political districts in this country. We did that because we were disciplined. We did that because we did not allow exceptional rules. This is a 14 days lockdown that restricts ourselves from inter-district movement. For God's sake, why can't we do this for ourselves? After 14 days, hopefully, we would have done a lot of tracing, because this is really the essence of this. Surveillance and tracing is really, the benefits of these lockdowns. So we would have done everything, and that could save all of us. So to me, I am appealing, like it is biting everybody globally. I'm appealing to anybody that's been disadvantaged by these measures that government is taking. Life is more precious than those small inconveniences that we're facing now. Okay. When we stopped the air transportation, when we stopped the flights from coming, before these ferries were applying on average, because we have two ferries, the Libyan ferry and the Mahera ferry, they were going 5, they're moving 5 times every day. So in total it was 10 movements. One will move 5 times, the other one will move another 5 times, so it was 10. Now because of the air transportation, the cancellations of the flight, the cessation of the flight, now they reduced that to 3, because to meet the economies of scale, it's expensive to run a ferry. It's really, really very expensive. So now we said to them, okay, we are going to do a sacrifice. Can you guys still maintain, or maximum or minimum you come to 4, instead of, because they wanted to do only 2 each per day. We said, okay, fine, we're not going to touch the price. The price is going to remain like that, but we want you to maintain. If the minimum you could do for a day is 4, but the best be doing the normal 5 trips a day. And this is where government, the sensitivity of government is always apt, because you have to watch. It's an opportunity cost. Do we want to reduce the price and for them to be able to barely run, limited to only 2 trips per day? That's going to be a big hint on our people. And the other reason here is prices have been adjusted for about 3 or 4 times now since we came to power, and we did not make any increase for ferries, so we do not want to touch them. We just want to leave them in the normal price that they've been operating.
Well, it's now time for us to join our sports correspondent, Patrick Iyetokonte, who has been engaging sports personnel on some of the challenges they have been faced with during this period that Sierra Leone has been struck by the deadly coronavirus.
As all sporting activities in the country have been put on hold due to the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, Paul Damulay, the general manager of the Shaka Stevens Stadium, has called on the government to come to their aid during these trying times. Mr. Damulay said that the management is finding it very difficult to pay its staff at the stadium because the stadium cannot generate income anymore because of the ban of the sporting activities.
It is really difficult, and I can say I'm completely communicated. I'm completely cut off, because we generate income here through the different disciplines that took place here. You know, like for example, the thing that sometimes baffled me really, like the Bow Stadium. I just want to give back a flashback. A Bow Stadium is under the government. The least staff there is being paid by the government, is subvented. But here really, I can say we are supervising the Bow Stadium and we are unsubvented. So it is really difficult because for now, there is no football, there is no athletic sport. To name but few, look at the Atlantic Hall over there. It's just like that. No workshops, no weddings, no nothing. So all the gates, as you can see yourself, all the gates are closed. And all the points, actually, all the entry points has the Veronica bucket, actually. So for now, really, because I cannot just sit down and wait. So for now, really, I've decided to do something really like I've started to transplant the grass really, because all before this time the place has been devastated. So I've decided this trip really to use my expertise together with my team to see how best we can fix up the feed. So that
he went on to state that staff taking care of the Bo Stadium are being paid by government, while staff in Freetown are only paid from proceeds they get from the stadium. He considered that to be so unfair. He continued that he has, however, discussed the issue with the Minister of Sport, but nothing has been done to salvage the situation. He expressed fear that some staff members might stop working because they are not being paid.
My fearness here now is, I'm hesitating that, that these guys will not strike one day, because if this thing continue to happen like this, I'm telling you, it will take another step. They are being paid through the money we generate here. Okay. Yeah, we are not under government. So this point in time, really, I want to take this opportunity really to call on the government to come to our aid, to see how best they can able to be paying these guys. Because it is a matter really I've put across to my bosses, like the executive director and the Minister of Sport. But it's like it's still delaying. So like I think this is a big opportunity for me, so that this message will reach directly to the government or to those that are concerned, so that they can come to our aid. So
Mr. Damulay Jr. said that even though the country is on trying times, he is calling on the government to come to their aid in order to ensure that they pay their staff, as they have their families to take care of. Reporting for Multimedia Plus Online TV Sport News, I am Patrick Yata Conte.
As we continue with preventive measures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, let's take some preventive ways of keeping ourselves safe. Well, that's all we have time for in today's news broadcast on Multimedia Plus online television. But before we close, here's a recap of the headlines. Defense for Children Sierra Leone, Amazonia Initiative Movement, and Strong Women, Strong Girls Evolution have raised concerns regarding the welfare and well-being of girls during the COVID-19 in Sierra Leone. The co-founder of Purposeful speaks on the lifting of ban on pregnant schoolgirls. Lawyers call on people not to share or download pornographic video of minor. The Deputy Minister of Information and Communications, Mamadi Gobe Kamara, talks on the negativity of fake news and the plans of government to see it as a punishable act. And the Deputy Minister of Transport and Aviation, Sadiq Silla, has said that modalities have been put in place to ensure that the transportation sector of air, land and sea adhere to precautionary measures outlined by health experts in the fight against corona. That's how we draw down the curtains for today's broadcast. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Multimedia Plus online television for more updates, news podcasts, programs and interviews. We are also on Facebook at Multimedia Plus. Please visit, like and share our page. Until we meet again next time, I have been your presenter, Lucy Emanet Aliu. Stay safe.